Hey guys, welcome back. Takashi here, back with Crimson Gray, Dusk, and Dawn. So last time we saw that there was a killing on a school campus. That, not to jump to conclusions, but it definitely seemed Koi Tech related. Definitely seemed that way. No slander here. Allegedly, a Koi Tech related. Allegedly. But so we decided to just kind of look into it a bit, not completely brush it aside, but also not go, too far down the instinct road of training. So we're going the middle ground, which I think is kind of what you see a lot in this game. That the message here of temperance. Don't go too far one way or the other. The relationship between them, make sure both sides aren't pushing too hard on the other, but also not drawing too far back from the other. Make sure not to go, obviously, with the killing ones, we're not going to do the killing. Or like, I won't use the napalm, but I'll just do the, no. No, obviously those ones don't require, the moderation on those is the lighter side, because the other sides are just so extreme. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get into it and see where this takes us. Several days later, more information had come out, and everything was far less clear. The facts of the... Oh wow, okay, what a name. Warnos. There you go, Warnos. That's what I'm gonna say, because I have no clue how to pronounce that word. Warnos incidents were overwhelmed by rumors, theories, and chaos that muddled any potential message. Lizzie was absolutely certain in her interpretation, but obviously, she was keeping that to herself. Oops. The girl's name was common knowledge now, and her face was represented by both a very normal-looking yearbook photo and her grin from the video. The exact order of events when she had killed 12 of her classmates was still argued over, adding to the conspiracy theories. It was unclear why she had done it, and none of the evidence offered struck Lizzie as correct. Yeah, I thought it was struck, but my eyes did not see the R. Oof. It's rough. She was actually a little curious what the girl's reasoning had been, but ultimately it didn't matter. At the moment, Lizzie was writing up some of her thoughts in her notebook. The incident had set her imagination on fire, so she'd used the notebook more lately. But she'd let John see much of what she did, and they'd been able to talk about it, which amplified the soothing effect. Now, though, she was finished and feeling restless. Lizzie glanced at the clock and got up to pace a little. John was currently at the computer lab, another part-time job he'd taken to try to reduce their debt. This one was also usually easy, he said, but tonight, allegedly, he was going to be playing games with some other people, including Aaron, which made her a little uncomfortable. She knew it was irrational, but she hadn't pushed too hard. But John knew she didn't like it. He'd promised that soon he'd start withdrawing a little more to spend time with her, but hadn't specified exactly when. Lizzie decided that it was time to go visit him, not just to check on him, but because she might as well see what everyone was interested in. Games didn't particularly interest her, and John hadn't played many because they were expensive. But there was a group on campus setting up something called a LAN party. By the way, guys, I assume if you're watching these videos, you probably know what a LAN party is, but if you're maybe younger, maybe you don't. It's essentially, instead of playing games online, you play it all together in one room, and the computers are just connected to an internal network. So, the internet's like a broad network everywhere. It's just like a local network for that area. And it's kind of faster, and also allows you to do it with people on multiple computers, but in the same place, without the latency of, doing it online. So, probably just gave general information that everyone already knows, but there you have it. Can't say you didn't learn something from this channel. Educational. Now I can slap the educational tag on there. She made her way across campus at speed toward the lab. She was anxious, no point denying that, but it was a low-level anxiety she could swallow without doing any harm. Inside, she found things a little different than expected. Each person at a separate computer. Maybe she had been thinking of consoles, with everyone together on the same couch. This was reasonable and seemed like the kind of thing John would like. Dude, look at these computers. Is this supposed to take place like in the 90s or the early 2000s maybe? I would, because like if I look at them, I'm not sure exactly what that port is there, but I think that's a floppy drive, not a CD drive, which makes me think more 90s. Because I was a kid in the early 2000s, and our computers had CD drives. So yeah, I'm thinking 90s. I wonder if that's intentional. Like, was there ever a date? Oh man, I kind of feel like in the first game there might have been a date. Someone come in the comment section and tell me what date this was taking place in, because like again, this just looks very 90s. Not that I would know what the 90s was from being there. I was like a baby, but kind of what I would think of as the 90s. Inside, she found things a little different than expected. Each person at a separate computer. Oh, I already read all this. All right. Though almost everyone was utterly fixated on the screen, John looked up and smiled when he saw her. She immediately moved to stand beside him, one hand on his shoulder. The screen seemed to be from the point of view of someone running through corridors carrying a gun. There were other numbers, presumably the statistics related to the game. So, this is the game? Yeah, it's fun, playing over LAN. But I doubt I'd want to play too often. Oh geez, no, she still sees Aaron that way. Oh my goodness. Please, Lizzie, calm down. Calm down, Lizzie. That's normal, right? I mean, there are a lot more important causes in the world, but you can't be focused on all the time, or you'll just end up useless, you know? Lizzie could be focused all the time, or at least she should be. But she nodded. It was true for John, at least, and one of the ways she needed to protect him. Sorry if I'm distracted. After the match we can't... He cut off as someone else appeared from around the corner on his screen. Abruptly moving his mouse and hitting the keys much faster, Lizzie found herself briefly concerned for his avatar. But fortunately, it was the other player who collapsed. The little human image spurting blood. That's not very realistic. That prompted a strange eyebrow from Aaron. Well, it is a game. So, the winner is the person who kills the most people? More or less. The timer is... Whoa! Hey! We actually have some... different art versus the sprites. Let's go. Let's go. They're just so cute together. I must say. I know I've done both these games, but it's like they're just very adorable. Once again, the game sucked up his attention, so Lizzie stopped distracting him and just stayed behind to watch. If she could play the game, would John like that? Lizzie watched his hands, and the gameplay, reaction time, seemed to play a part, and she'd be good at that. But the actions necessary to move and fire seemed very artificial. She wasn't sure she'd be able to adjust to them. Of course, she wouldn't want to play against John, even if his character was just a little soldier that didn't look like him. She also wasn't sure she wanted to play with his group. A few were staring at her with a look that made her set her teeth on edge. Only John got to look at her that way. Ah, shoot. Don't go, Pervin. Listen, that's a good way to end up dead. That'd be a mistake. Things went well until John's avatar came under heavy fire. Abruptly, the screen pulled back, and she saw the little figure collapse in a shower of blood. John had been killed. He winced and muttered to himself. Dude, look at her face! Oh my god, you can... She's so mad even though it's just a character. Oh, yep, sure enough, there you go, in the words too, yep. Raw hatred surged through Lizzie as she realized that one of the people in the room had killed him. He popped back up a second later, but she barely noticed. Scanning the other chairs, was there any way to tell which username connected to the person who had killed him? But as things went on, John killed them back several times. He got killed again, and the surges of hatred faded. It was just a silly little avatar after all. John was fine. If she could kill people in real life and do no harm, would she? The idea kind of excited her, but she decided not to explore it for now. Before too long, the match ended. If she read the screen right, John did well, in the top third of players. Considering he had less time for games and many other people, she was very proud of him. Than many other people, giving him a quick hug from behind. He swiveled around in his chair to face her, smiling. You just came to watch, I take it? Do you want to play? Oh, I don't know about that. It doesn't seem quite like my sort of thing. Did you know there are seriously people blaming the Ranos incident on violent games? I know I really shouldn't be laughing since that's the name related to the shooting, but sorry guys, like my pronunciation of it is so bad. I'm laughing at myself, not at the incident, okay? I'm not a psychopath. At least it can't be proven, guys. Can't be proven. As far as I know, anyways. Shaking his head, Heron swiveled to face them. It's not just a few crackpots either. I hear a lot of people saying that this is because of the violence in our media, calling for all kinds of societal change, so long as they're superficial. Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? I think it's died down a lot now. I think games have become a lot more acceptable, that those very few who still call like violence as oh, it's the video game's fault, are very rare now, because it's a very accepted practice now that I think most young people and even young adults, like people like in their 20s and 30s, play video games. So again, I think it's just so common now that it's hard for them to do that, because they'd pretty much just be dissing like the majority of the young population. But in the early 2000s and in the 90s, there were a lot of people that said these things. People that were sometimes sensible on other issues, but for some reason on this one they were, I'll state my opinion firmly on this one, wrong. I don't believe video games have any relation to it whatsoever. And in fact, I think they can help people vent, whereas if they might go angry and go shoot some people, though I do believe in the games, with games with stories, we shouldn't glorify the violence. We should, obviously show that it's gritty and, how messed up it is. Like, for instance, All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a story all about war, but it's not glorifying the war. It's pointing out like, wow, this is some messed up stuff, right? So again, I like things with actions. I like things that have conflict and action in it, but yeah, so just do it in a positive way. It's perfectly possible. I see a lot of places do that. So they're like, yeah, we're fighting, but because we have to, not because we want to necessarily. Anyhow, of course with FPS you can't do that, but it's FPS. What are you gonna do? There's a storyline, but I don't think people play them these days. I did back when I was young, but that's also because online wasn't as developed. So Alright, Boomer, shut up. Alright, moving on. I don't think you're going to overthrow the status quo with a revolution, Aaron. But obviously I agree, all the campaigning against violent games is misplaced. I don't know, man. I think we're past the point where incremental change can accomplish anything. You saw how the pharmaceuticals just spun this incident to give them even more power. But it was Koitek Town. Who knows how drugs might have made the situation worse. Hey, Aaron's calling out the truth. Call the facts, boy. The facts. The two of them went back and forth, arguing mildly. It interested Lizzie a little, but was more abstract than she preferred. She drew up a chair and got involved to prevent some of the unpleasant people from coming closer and trying to talk to her. It seemed they were talking, taking a break in between matches. Several people taking the time to go to the bathroom or get snacks. For the most part, it seemed like a decent group. So Lizzie didn't mind John spending time with them. The break didn't last long, not nearly long enough for John and Aaron to resolve their disagreement. John glanced to her, but when Lizzie smiled encouragingly, he participated in the next match as well. I still love this picture. It's just so cute. And you know, honestly, guys, if you have a girlfriend who like supports your hobby with gaming, or even if they don't participate in it, they support it and are there for you, and sit there and watch you with it. Appreciate that. Appreciate what you have, because I hear a lot from a lot of people where their girlfriends do not like them playing video games. And like, pay attention to me, not the video game. So again, if you got that, appreciate it. As she watched, Lizzie got more of a natural sense for the game. But that actually took her out of the experience. In the game, there was no way you could tell if someone was behind you. No sense for the environment, or easy way to keep tabs on the scenario. And the blood effects really were sort of silly, not realistic at all. Yet, she felt a little intrigued. John had mentioned that computer graphics were always getting better. If there was a game that looked more realistic and let her use knives instead of guns, she wondered if it could be fun for her. Not the same as killing people, but... Oh, okay, so Liz is letting us know that it is fun for her to kill people. Alright, I guess we kind of knew that, but I thought she would have done it more of necessity than pure fun. When they finished the next match, John got up to stretch, while Aaron glanced towards them again. You're really watching intently. You don't want to play, Lizzie? No, that's okay. I don't really like guns. Fair enough. This kind of crazy violence isn't for everyone. Finished stretching, John glanced over at her for a moment, just considering. Then he nodded. I think I've had about enough for today. You want to head home, Lizzie? Okay. You two take care, okay? They left the lab and walked back together. Taking their time, John seemed to be contemplating something, so Lizzie just kept pace alongside him and let him think until he was ready. Aaron is a good guy, but I don't think we're ever going to agree on some big things. Everything we were talking about with changing society, you mean? Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see the FDCA change and the entire industry will be transformed, but I kind of doubt it. History would have needed to go differently years ago. I agree with you, John. But maybe that's fine. He'll go his own way and organize protests and things. I'll see if I can't do more within the system. Maybe both approaches are necessary. They'll take us completely different directions, though. Do you mean you aren't upset that I'm uncomfortable about Aaron? Are you? He looked at her, slight surprise in his eyes. No, not at all. I was trying to say the opposite. It looks like our choices in life will mean that we spend less time together, regardless. I understand. I'm glad you're not upset. Just thoughtful. It's strange how choices you make at the beginning of life can take things in such different directions. It's like, is there another version of me who follows Francesca's path and works for the FDCA? Another one where I join protests? One where I forget all about it and just take some other job? Interesting. And it was interesting, but Lizzie didn't like the idea. She liked this John. The one with her. She liked herself, and the singular relationship they had. John noticed her slight frown, before she could think to hide it. But Lizzie decided that was fine. You seem troubled. I didn't like thinking about other versions of myself. Lizzie who never met you? Or who somehow didn't love you? Or I don't want to think about those. Oh. Okay, so if you guys haven't seen Mirai Nikki, this is going to be a bit of a spoiler, so if you want to skip, like, I don't know, like 10, 20 seconds, go ahead. But in Mirai Nikki, at the ending, we see that Yuno keeps jumping worlds, okay, after killing Yuki, right? Yuno keeps killing him to be with a different version of him, which isn't even him. To me, that's the kind of Yandere you want nothing to do with. She doesn't care about you. She cares about the idea of you, clearly. But what I'm so glad this just confirmed for me was Lizzie, we just saw here. She only cares about her present self and John. Both of the ones in the current world, the current ones, the real ones, and that's it. She wouldn't accept the others. 10 out of 10. Alright. Sorry. I just really love that. I love that a lot. You don't have to focus on the depressing possibilities. What about a version of you where we escaped Koitek entirely and just lived happily together? He did bring a bit of warmth to her heart, even if it was a fantasy. But a moment later, Lizzie realized the true potential of the concept. She could always stay with her John and make the best decisions. But she could imagine all the paths not taken and enjoy them too. Just adding more facets to the relationship. Okay, this kind of backtracks a little bit on what I was saying before, but I don't think this one's looking at a different version of him or her. Just like her enjoying the possibilities of what could have been. At least that's how I'm taking it. Call me a glass half full kind of guy, but that's just where we're going with on this. I like that, John. I really do. I'm glad. And I just wanted to say that, even considering every possible future reality, I want to be with you in all of them. Aww, that's so sweet. See, there you go. She did the exact same thing. Aww. Lizzie latched onto his arm happily and squeezed him for just a moment. Me too, John. All the alternative reality Lizzies want to be with you too. Well, now we're getting into straight science fiction. The two of them explored that topic as they headed back, sometimes speculative, and sometimes just silly. Lizzie was happy to discuss it, and brimming with happiness by the time they went to bed. Hey, that's excellent. And also, I thought that was about to be a transition, but let's keep going and they'll talk about it. There were so many other paths in life, but it would always be John and Lizzie, Lizzie and John, forever. Perfect. So I think that's a great ending, and honestly, a really great episode in my opinion. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Once again, guys, I know I say this every time, but if you made it this far, I really do appreciate you. And I hope since you made it this far, that means you enjoyed it. If you did, please, if you are not already, hit that subscribe button so you can come back and join me for more. Because I assure you, I plan on keeping the channel active. I know I said that before, but again, this time I've gone on a recording drive. I've been getting him done, getting him recorded. I want to make sure to bring this channel back to life, many of the contents, and you know, once I finish this one, I mentioned before, but I want to maybe go on like itch.io and find some of the other maybe lesser known visual novels, some of the ones that are just being released, you know, kind of by indie developers. I give them a try. Maybe even if they're just demos, you know, give them a short try. You know, even if they're not Yandere related, just give them a try, give them a rating. You know, help out these developers. Get the links, which I really should put in these videos too. The link to Sierra's, but you can actually find them. You can actually find this one on Steam, which is why I haven't done it. Because if you look up Crimson Gray on Steam, you can find it that way. And personally, I prefer looking in Steam itself than links that take me to the website. So again, guys, if you do enjoy this game and want to give it a try yourself, you're there, and I definitely recommend supporting it. Once again, this other, again, just be careful with which games you get, because a lot of them are adult games. But once again, guys, again, thank you so much for watching. Love you all. I appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next video. Laters.